What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Mike here, bringing you another episode of the Morning Skate Hockey Cast with your co-host, Nick. What a beautiful day in this lovely off-season of hockey we are in. I know it's only been about 6 months since our last podcast, but you know what? Fuck it. Here we go.
Shit happens, my friends.
Alright, anyways, it is currently 2:14 in the morning. Why are we doing this? Because we don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. This is our podcast, so here we go.
Emotions. Alrighty, guys. So let's start it off with talking about emotions. Let's just straight into it. PK Subban for Shea Weber. You guys have probably heard a ton of it and probably don't want to hear anymore, but too bad. So, straight up deal, which I totally didn't see coming. Now, who won this trade? I say Nashville.
Oh, dude. It's not even a question, Nashville.
But I think everyone's kind of discrediting Shea Weber. Guy, he could score fucking 20 goals in a season, and he's got that crazy shot from the point. I think he has a better shot than Subban, but I think...
Oh, 100%. But that's not the issue. The issue is age. The issue is contract. The issue is the Canadians. What are you doing? What is that front management? That management is so bad. Fire the GM, man. Oh, my gosh. Guys, isn't...
They're like literally, they're the Republican Party of...
Literally, like, you just sit there and they just, like, Trump is the head off.
It's like these old French Canadians that are just like, this guy's worn a purple suit one too many times.
Make Canada great again.
So
no, but on the reals, Nick, is Shea Weber's contract not up next year?
No, he's got like a ton of money left still on it. He signed a 10-year deal. He's got hella time and hella hose on it.
Well, okay, was Subban's deal almost
No,
up?
Subban deal starts, but they traded him before his new contract kicked in.
So they just signed him to a new contract and they traded him.
I believe so.
That is just holy fuck, dude.
He donated $10 million to a charity there,
yeah,
and or to the hospital, and just.
And listen. I'll put that aside because it is a business, and honestly, if you're donating to a kid's hospital, it should just be because you're a passionate person, and that's awesome. It shouldn't be like, oh, I have to stand with the Canadians now. Obviously, I don't discredit that part. It is a business from front management, and I understand that you need to do what you need to do to have a winning franchise. That is ultimately your goal, and that's your job, and I understand that. But even then, that's the problem. This move does not dictate that, because Shea Weber is older than PK Subban by 5 years. That's huge. Shea Weber has already hit his prime and will slowly start to degrade, especially the kind of player he is. He's a shutdown defender. Although he physically is a monster, there is no way that he continues to be as productive as he is in the next 5-10 years. However long he's still in the game, there's no possible way. Another thing that I want to hop into just a little bit that is kind of like this whole free agency that we've been talking about, that I feel like a lot of people have kind of, nudged on in other podcasts, is what are these contracts? 8 years? How many years was Lucic's? Is it 7 years?
I think it was 7.
7 years for a Milan Lucic? Do you remember a guy named Eric Lindros? Do you remember what happened to him? Because he's a power forward in the game he plays, he's gone before you know it, and that's the problem. You don't sign a power forward to a 7-year contract. It's disappointing. Unless you're expecting the Arizona Coyotes to pick him up, like Pavel Datsyuk. Fucking... You know how sad that is when the Arizona Coyotes have 2 of their best players never actually played for them.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Chris Pronger and Pavel Datsyuk, your 2 most famous Arizona Coyotes. Not to discredit what the Coyotes are doing, because I think, honestly, within a few years, if they still are the Arizona Coyotes, they will have a great team to work on. But right now, man, oh my God, what a mess.
Now, Mike, why do you think they traded PK Subban? Because obviously everyone's kind of in agreement that
PK Subban's better.
PK Subban's better. Like I said, Shea Weber isn't bad at all. But it's like, why do you think they did this deal?
I've heard a couple of things, but the most consistent rumor / thing I hear is that... Oh, you're so toxic. The most consistent rumor I've heard is that he's a locker room cancer. And I guess I could see that. He might be a little flashy. But honestly, he looks like a nice guy. And even then, build around the fucking locker room cancer somewhat. Like, how bad does it have to be when Max Pacioretty's your captain? Like, can't you... Like, how does he not just sit there and say, oh, fucking PK, chill the fuck out? Also, they just signed Radulov. Or Radulov. How the fuck you say his name? Radulov?
Radulov.
Okay. Another known locker room cancer. So there's no way you can tell me PK Subban is a locker room cancer and then sign one of the biggest in the last 5 years. That is just absurd. Honestly, Canadians, you're going to burn in a fucking stack of flames, and I feel bad for your franchise. Obviously, Carey Price could carry a season, but as soon as he gets injured, Henrik Lundqvist all over again. It's hard devoting your whole team around a skilled goalie. It's just way too impossible to win like that. I mean, look, Matt Murray won, and he won because he had a hot streak coming to the end of the season. Honestly, he shouldn't even have played. Marc-Andre Fleury should have, but they wanted to test the kid, and the kid proved himself. Anyways, Nick, what do you think about this PK Subban trade? I know you're not happy about it, but like, what is the reason, in your opinion, that they did this?
I think it came down to like I was talking about earlier. It's a very conservative team. Montreal Canadiens, obviously, like original six team, very old team, very and I think it just came down to like he was just too much for them because it just came to they were this team that was used to just players just talking about every interview was we're working the corners really well. All four lines were grinding. And, it's just team effort. We did 110% out there, and we came out with the win. Like that boring-ass interview that everyone says, everyone does. And it's like they're just used to that, and that's all they want, and that's all they know. So when you got PK Subban coming in here with his cool hats, his fly suits, coming around, having all these colorful interviews and being like that colorful personality, like I just don't think they were ready for that, and I don't think that's what they were about. And they just weren't used to it, and because of that, they, like, just never really clicked, And because of that, they were just like, let's trade him. And that was the only way they could do it. And same with their coach. Montreal management just baffles me every time. They have Michel Therrien, who's like a cancer of a coach.
Who they should have fucking fired.
They should have fired a long-ass time ago. And players have said he's like the worst coach to play for. But they still just like, no, let's keep this guy. And let's, trade PK Subban. PK Subban is the guy that you need to build your team around.
Literally.
If your locker room is like, we hate PK Subban, then you need to trade the locker room, not him. Because he's that once-in-a-lifetime kind of player. Especially a right-handed D-man shot right now. That's crazy hard to find. So, I don't know. I'm kind of in shock about it. That whole day of trades was kind of crazy. And just this whole offseason has really thrown me off for a loop. People are getting the craziest contracts. People are making some fucking crazy money. And I don't get it. But, especially in the salary cap era right now that we're in, the free agency was like, holy shit, the David Backes deal. Like, we could go into everything. We'd be here all night.
That's literally what I meant. Like, dude, all these teams have just made the worst contract decisions in the last 5 years of contracts I've ever seen. Like, that is just disgusting.
The only one who's made a good deal so far is Stevie Y in Tampa. Getting Hedman and Stamkos at that deal. Now it gets really tough, though. Now it's where we see how great of a GM he is. Obviously, he's done really great so far, but you still got Kucherov. I think he's already signed Alex Killorn, but he might have to still get him. I'm not 100% on that.
No, yeah, they did sign Alex Killorn, which a lot of people were saying, and I agree with this. I think Kucherov will be finding his way out unless Big E is the best GM in the world. I don't see Kucherov not going anywhere for better money. Unless Tampa is this goddamn golden place to play for, because apparently we all thought Steven Stamkos was going to go to Toronto or maybe even the Red Wings, and then he signed a fucking 8-year deal with the boys.
They're a great team. I think they are going to be a Stanley Cup contender for a few years. Honestly, and that
definitely.
Too, Ben Bishop, if he's out, that opens up a lot of room, and you've got your boy Vasilevsky backing up.
Mm-hmm.
So, they've got some options. Finding a home for Bishop might be tough right now, but we'll see. I mean, obviously there's teams that need goaltending, so you never know. But let's go to another deal that happened the same day, I think within the same hour of
even worse.
The PK Subban trade. We've got the Edmonton Oilers sending Taylor Hall to the New Jersey Devils for Adam Larson and nothing else because it was another straight up deal that I just didn't understand. But okay, before we just dissect this and make it look really bad, let's consider a few things. Like, Edmonton has not the best, but they have a class of forwards that is unreal. I mean, you've got Nuge, you've got Eberle, you've got Connor fucking McDavid, you've got Jesse Puljujarvi, who I didn't expect them to get. I don't think anyone expected them to get it in the fourth round.
They stole it.
You've got Yakupov, you could argue is a good forward or not. I mean, you've got Draisaitl. I'm missing more, but you get the idea. Like, their forward base is crazy, and their defense is not as good. So, I think, honestly, with the 4th overall pick, they should have tried to trade it. Or maybe trade a first in next year or second or whatever to try to boost up on defense. But instead, they trade Taylor Hall to Adam Larson. So, like, the way I look at it is Edmonton has a ton of fucking forwards that can score. I would consider Taylor Hall up there in the top 3 or top 2 of the team, and it's tough to get rid of him. But the way I look at it is, look, they got a really good forward that they didn't expect to get at the draft. They got, they have Connor McDavid, and they just need defense, and they have a lot of forwards, so why not trade one of those forwards to get a defenseman, because they need it that bad. When you have that kind of wealth in forwards and that kind of, like, depth, like, you can afford to lose one. But I think of all of them, Taylor Hall is probably the worst one to get rid of in their case.
By far. Except Connor McDavid.
Except Connor.
But let's
he's
take a second.
He's untouchable, though. But it's unreal. So I understand the deal, but I don't like it. You could have gotten more, I think.
Even more so, take a second. PK Subban and Shea Weber were up for trading. How the fuck do you not find a deal with Taylor Hall and potential 3 to 4 draft picks down the line for fucking one of the top defensemen in the league? You end up trading your best forward in almost every single category for Adam Larson, who by all means is not a shitty defender, but he's not a fucking all-star defender. He will not get you the kind of production that Taylor Hall has gotten for the Edmonton Oilers. Honestly, you just weakened your forward line, and by adding Milan Lucic, who's probably going to be hurt, you added some real big issues to your future, which is already a fucking shithole for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, they did get the defender out of it, so honestly, at least they did it. But the thing is, they just played with house money. They used way too much to get what they got in return, and they're like, oh, you know what? We've had so many draft picks and stuff. Fuck it. Let's just throw Taylor Hall away because, you know what? We can because we have that much potential and power in our fucking team. It's just so foolish, though. You could have been so much smarter. You've been bad for like 5 to 7 years. Why start throwing it away now when things are starting to turn for you?
Yeah.
Disgusting.
There's better options, I think, no doubt. And I think as a secondary Oilers fan, it's a bummer to see Taylor Hall go, especially because he probably had one of his better seasons this last year, and it kind of showed. Obviously, he wasn't playing with Connor all season, but you were just like, wow, this kid's really good. I think he's going to tear it up in New Jersey. I think New Jersey's going to be a team to watch out for in the next few years as well, kind of like Arizona, like he was saying. Like, as long as they do everything right, they should be there too, especially with how well Corey Schneider played, Paul Mary played, and Henrique played. You got some options there. But just another deal I don't get and I don't really understand. But when you have that forward depth, I guess you can do it. And I think they have Patrick Maroon, future 45-goal scorer. So that could happen too. But it was kind of tough for Oilers fans. It's probably the last guy you wanted to see go besides Connor. So it's just it's a business though, and they had to get a defenseman and they got it done. So at the end of the day, they understand their needs, and I think they're gonna be better this year. I think they'll be a lot better, but who knows? We'll see. And I think they're not done yet either. I think they're still gonna make some moves, maybe at the deadline or during the season, because that defense is just not good. You got Sekera on that horrible contract. You've got I think you got Mark Fane. You've got Darnay Nurse, who's showing promise. Let's see who else. They've got Clendenning, who I don't even know if they re-signed or not. They have Nikitin. They have Andrew Ferens, who's like not even going to play. Griffin Reinhardt, if he ends up not being a bust, who they traded a first-round pick for.
Yeah.
Which is scary. That's a scary pick because I did watching him last season. I don't know if he looked like he had that NHL caliber or if he ever will be, but he's. I don't know. It's hard. I don't read hockey players the same as obviously scouts and whatnot, but I don't know. That deal baffles me too.
That's just 100% the problem. Connor McDavid's going to be in his sophomore year. Why rush it? Give him a couple more years to develop, get to where his potential will lead him to, and then make your moves. This was not the year to throw your chips out just like you had a whole bunch of free casino money to play with. Very distraughting. Honestly, watch them go and win the Stanley Cup because that's hockey for you. And I'm not saying that the moves were terrible in the sense that, like, what they got was good for the team. It's just what they traded for was just not worth it at this time being. God, it's so obnoxious. All right, no more salty Mike. Got those 2 trades out of the way, which were just fucking miserable to look at. Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, Big Y, pulled it off. Wow. Congratulations to Tampa. They will win a Stanley Cup within 5 years. I will put money on it. Even though they've had their chances right now in their prime, I only see them getting better. As long as Vasilevsky is proven. And even then, there's some pretty good goalies still in the market. If they had the cap for it. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury is still just chilling. And
they still have Bishop until they trade Bishop.
Yeah, they still have him. But although reports are he's going to be gone. Actually, since we already talked about that, Nick, let's actually spend a little bit of time talking about the Ducks.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sure you have tons to say. I kind of have things to input about it, but I really want to hear your in-depth analysis on Cam Fowler not being traded yet, where they go from there, Jared the God Bull. Just let me know, Nick.
I am the God.
What's good?
I'm not going to break too much into the Ducks right now because I think there's still a lot to find out. And probably the next podcast we record, which it probably won't be in 6 months. It'll probably be sooner than the last one. But breaking it down, the Freddie Anderson trade, I don't love, but the goalie market's so big, it's tough. I love that we got Sam Steele with the 30th overall pick, so there I see a win, and I think it's the second in next year, which we could always use. The Bernier deal, which I don't know if you guys would consider that being like just a technically part of the Anderson trade or not. I don't think it is, but I think technically with the conditions in the pick, like, you pretty much get him for free. But if we win the Stanley Cup and he plays a bunch, then we have to give, like, a second-round pick, which, like, that fucking blows. A second-round pick for Jonathan Bernier. But if you win the Stanley Cup, like, who gives a fuck about picks? Because you just won the Stanley Cup. So, like, you got Pittsburgh trading a first-round pick for Phil Kessel, but they won the Cup. So, that's great. Obviously, the Ducks are trying to fill that bottom 6 right now. Jared Bull, mediocre. I don't get it, but again, I think it's just we lost Chris Stewart. He's kind of a less savvy Chris Stewart, so it's like that's the way I look at it. So it's just filling in spots. I'm a little nervous to see what the Ducks do with their bottom 6. I was a little surprised to see Cam Fowler not traded. I saw a lot of stuff to Buffalo. You would go to Buffalo or to Detroit, which I think would be good fits. And Buffalo got Kulikov, and those talks kind of cooled down. Detroit hasn't done much yet, and but I'm not sure who the Ducks would get. I would like Tatar or everything. But like I said, we'll go into it more next podcast.
When shit actually happens.
Yeah, and we have to see what happens with Hampus, Lindholm, and Rickard Rakell, too, who I don't think are going anywhere, but it kind of is still scary that that deal hasn't been done yet. But I'm sure it'll happen soon, and then that's when I think we'll start seeing the floodgates open for the Ducks to start making moves. So
Their cap space is what's scaring me, though.
Yeah.
Because you can't fill a bottom 6 and sign Hampus Lindholm and Rickard Rakell, can you?
Yeah, you can. I mean, they've got enough.
That bottom 6 has to be paid so minimal.
Yeah, and I think, but if you find the right guys, we have enough with our rookies and returners that we have like probably only like 3 spots to fill. And let's say you have $2 million with those 3 spots, you sign one guy to like 1.1, and some other people to like kind of like those $500,000-$600,000 contracts, kind of like what Santorelli and everyone was on last year. It's doable. And we'll see what Rakell and Lindholm make. I think Lindholm will make some money. I think we'll get Rakell on a pretty good, like, it'll be like a bridge-ish kind of deal. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll go in way more depth next episode. I want to break into the Stanley Cup a little bit, since we were talking about Cups and all that. Like I said, we hadn't recorded a podcast in God knows how long. Life kind of just happened again. But Stanley Cup, Pittsburgh Penguins, which honestly at the beginning of the year looked like it would really happen with the Phil Kessel trade, and you're like, wow, this is going to happen. Then the beginning of the year for the Pittsburgh happens, and you're like, yeah, there's no way it's going to happen. Toronto curse. Rip. It's over. And here they are, having parades, doing big stuff. And the Sharks made it, which I did not expect at all. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have laughed in your face. But really, they just took a big L, so lol. Go Ducks. But let's talk about it, Mike. What do you think about the Stanley Cup? the playoffs in general, if you could do like a quick analysis, obviously besides like the Ducks' depression in Game 7 and Kings getting outed first round and Blackhawks getting outed first round, how do you feel like about the playoffs and Stanley Cup in general?
I mean, it wasn't the Kings or Blackhawks, so I guess it's a win. Although, as a Flyers fan, the Pens winning is always going to sting. I mean, overall, I just think the playoffs were better this year than most years. Obviously, as a Ducks fan, and I was at Game 7, it's fucking salty, whatever. But let's just think about hockey in a total. I like that a lot of upsets happened this year, and that we kind of got to see a lot more diversity in the fucking conference finals and the semifinals. The East is just, it's pretty stale. Obviously, Tampa's going to be a contender so long. It's what reminds me of like Tampa and technically Pittsburgh now is that I just feel like it's the Cleveland Cavaliers of the East Coast. Like, these teams are so stacked, and then you have a bunch of teams that are whatever. The Washington Capitals getting knocked out was huge, although I already knew it was going to happen. Like, I just had the feeling, like, dude, when the fucking Flyers starting to take wins off them, although they obviously lost, 4-1, 5-game series, so it wasn't a big deal. But, like, we pushed them. Like, we actually played a good game, and we're the Flyers, barely making a playoff run and clinching the berth in the last game of the season. I mean, they should have swept us, no doubt. So as soon as you see that happening, you see Pens having the best fucking record in the NHL coming into the end of the season. You knew it was gonna happen. Just the upset was there. The Penguins, the amount of depth and skill and speed that team has is ridiculous. When you have a bottom six that is just potentially that dangerous, as we saw that third line, oh my god, Phil Kessel on your third line. No?
It's nutty.
It's just, honestly, I sit there and I look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I don't know how they get away with it. They have so much talent on that team. Props to the GM, props to the fucking, the team in general. It's dumb lit. Being a Flyers fan, if there is a Flyers fan listening, Ron Hextall is doing us great. We'll see where we are in a couple of years. The fact that we got Ghost, a little bit of playoff experience was huge, and I'm glad that obviously he turned out to be a big player. Hopefully he continues that way. Drew's out of recovery sooner than expected. Looked great on the ice if you saw the video. I mean, that guy was playing with a bad hip, and ever since that Arizona Coyotes game, he just didn't look the same. Hype for that. Hype for the future of that D-core. It's so hot. Hype for Travis Konechny. We'll see where it goes. But more so, also, another team. Flyers do suck right now. I'm not going to lie. It's still going to be a couple years. Another team that you have to look out for next year is the fucking Florida Panthers. Now, although Keith Yandle's contract gives me fucking nightmares.
A lot of the contracts they made.
All the contracts give me nightmares, yeah. I mean, even their...
Trocheck.
Yeah. Trocheck, being young and all that. I don't know. That team is going to be make or break, but that locker room is fucking nice. That team has some real good depth now. Keith Yandle is a great veteran presence to add, although he's not super old, but he has playoff experience with the Rangers. That team is going to be real nice, as long as Yager doesn't hurt himself. And if he does, just bring up Lawson Krause. See if he's ready to play. That big boy is going to make a difference, too. He's going to be the next big power forward, I bet. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Stanley Cup playoffs were cool this year. Seeing the Sharks make a run was really nice. They beat the Kings in 5. Beautiful. Made the Preds look like shit in Game 7. Which, having our back, SoCal hockey, although we're rivals. Cool. What about you, though, Nick? Did you expect the Pittsburgh Penguins to win? Although, obviously, at the beginning of the season, we all expected it.
I didn't expect it until they beat the Capitals, and then I was like, uh-oh. Like, this team's going to make a run. But... yes and no. Like I said, on paper, that team you could see. Honestly, like Mike was talking about the bottom six, and it wasn't even just the players, because if you would have told me, like, hey, you know who's going to be pretty solid in the playoffs at the beginning of the year, you're going to be like Connor Sheary, Tom Kuhnackel, and like Brian and Russ, or whatever the fuck his name is. And I would have been like, who? I wouldn't have understood it. So I don't think that our bottom six is, like, on paper the greatest thing. I think those guys just stepped up, and that's what it takes to win a Stanley Cup, is you need players like that to just show up. And then when this always happens, they step up, They probably do one more series or season that they step up. They get traded, or don't get traded. They go to be a UFA. They get a nasty contract, and then they don't show up. Matt Bolesky. Anyway, I don't know. I expected Pittsburgh. San Jose, like I said, totally didn't expect. Good for them. Get that experience, but still at the end, they got those crying Jordans on their faces. So, really, I mean, I think they proved a lot to themselves. I feel bad for... I don't really like Joe Thornton, so I don't really feel bad for him. But, like, Patrick Marleau, I feel bad for. Some of the older guys on the team, I feel bad for. So, we'll see what happens. But I will say that... where was I going with that thought? That neither of the teams will be in the Stanley Cup next year. Like, I've seen a lot of people are like, oh, like, I was watching, I think it was NHL Tonight, or, like, NHL Network, I forgot what show it was. But they had, like, Sharks as, like, 3 or 4, and they had the Pittsburgh as 1 again. Honestly, like, I think it's, to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, it takes a lot of luck, and it takes a lot of, like, things going your way at the right time, like, right place, right time kind of deal. So, I don't see Pittsburgh or San Jose in the Stanley Cup next year. I'm not going to make predictions yet on who, because there's still a lot to play out, but I can tell you right now, I don't think it happens. I don't think either of them make it. I could be wrong, but I really, really, really don't see it, even though both teams are really, really good. And I think have only gotten better since the offseason, especially San Jose picked up Bodker and made some other moves, but I don't know. Free agency and just this whole offseason, it felt really long. It's been a really weird time, but I don't know. I'm just excited for this season. I think it's going to be a lot of new teams are going to emerge of like that have been rebuilding the last few years, and it's going to be lit. I'm excited for Toronto. I'm excited for Edmonton,
really excited.
Arizona, Florida. I think it's finally going to be like that team to mess with. That's going to be scary. So I don't know.
All of Florida.
Yeah, all of just the state of Florida and hockey.
Has some good hockey. Yeah.
Is going to be more lit than all of the Canada teams combined. The way it's looking.
Probably.
So. Speaking of Vancouver, scary.
Oh, don't even.
Jim Benning, that poor guy, traded Jared McCann for Eric Branson, and he just made some bad deals. There's a lot of bad deals that went down this summer.
Just fucking, if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, I'm so sorry.
The next 6 years are gonna be rough, guys. Unless they pull off some crazy trade, the next 6 years are gonna be rough.
That's 100% the worst part too. Is when you know you're going to have to go into a rebuild because there's just nothing you can do.
But they're not ready to admit it yet, the management at least. And they're still going for it. Like, didn't they sign Louis Eriksson, I think? Where did Louis Eriksson go?
Yeah, he went to Vancouver.
And it's just like,
right?
Why?
I'm like 90% sure. Speaking of another team that said that they're going to go all in, the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, yeah. They just traded for Derek Brassard for Mika Zibanejad and a second-round pick. I kind of understand the trade on both sides. Ottawa's in a win-now kind of presence, so they go for the older guy with more experience, even though he puts up similar numbers to Zibanejad. Also, another thing that people keep forgetting, they have a lot of right-handed shots in Ottawa. You've got Bobby Ryan, you've got Mark Stone, you've got Kyle Turris, who's already a right-handed shot center, so I think they're trying to just get a little variety as well. And get that nice left-handed shot in there. So you get Brassard, nice second line center, left-handed shot for a second line center who's younger and on a better contract, or on a cheaper contract for now, but it's gonna have to get re-signed soon. You get him and a second out of it and I think the deal works for both teams. Brassard's a more established forward, like I said, similar numbers to Zibanejad, but just a little more experience and maybe helps him make that playoff push. And New York, who obviously understands that their time is up, is starting to slowly start that rebuild phase. It's getting a second-round pick, which a lot of people don't think is a lot, but Duncan Keith was a second-round pick, and there's a lot of great
Was he
players.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
A lot of people were second-round picks, so it's just like...
I mean, Pavel Datsyuk was a 5th or 6th round pick.
Yeah, he was... So. Joe Pavelski was a 7th.
7th round?
Yeah, he was a 7th round. So it's just it's gnarly. So
the draft really doesn't mean much. I mean, obviously there are the top 8 normally are pretty decent. I mean, obviously some fall off instantly, but you just find fucking diamonds in the rough. Like you really do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So I think both teams, no one really loses this trade. I think Ottawa gives up a little bit more than they should have, but I think for what direction both teams are going, they both made a smart deal.
Okay, question for you. Do you buy into the Ottawa Senators?
No.
I don't either. I do not either. If there was one team that I would buy into, it would be the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, if they said, why not us, I would probably be more likely to pen them into a Stanley Cup spot, not Stanley Cup, let me go, Stanley Cup playoff spot than the Ottawa Senators. I mean...
I don't know. I don't see either. I think the Canadians will make it back to the playoffs, believe it or not, even after all this.
Really?
Because, I mean, they're going to have a healthy Carey Price. And like I said,
Whoa. We don't know that.
They should have Carey Price.
They should, if all goes well.
Don't worry, he probably won't be on my fantasy team this year, so I could care less if he's injured or not. So, and Shea Weber's still a really good defenseman. Don't get me wrong. He's, like, obviously they lost that trade. They took the real L, but Shea Weber's still a beast. He's still got that shot. He's still a gritty corner defenseman. And they got Radulov and they got Sergachev, who might not even make the team out of camp. I don't think he will, but there's that chance. So, I think Montreal will make it, to be honest.
I mean, their start of the season was brilliant.
Yeah, so it's like
no one expected them to miss it.
They have it in there, and if PK Subban was really that locker room cancer, then they have no excuses now to why it should be lighting up. So, I don't know. I think of all the Canadian teams, I think Montreal still be the only one that makes it. Winnipeg could, but they lost a lot with Ladd, and that forward core is kind of starting to
be a little weird.
It's like losing the experience, and it's kind of the young guns are taking over with like Scheifele and
That's why I would buy into it though. That young core it rips.
If you're putting you're putting a stock in it and willing to let it sit, then yeah, Winnipeg's a good team.
Yeah.
And then obviously Edmonton too could be good. But I'm saying right now this season, I think Montreal will be the only team that makes the playoffs.
Okay.
And that's if they do. It could be another Canada blackout.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I was just saying the team I'd buy into would be the Jets stealing a spot over the. I don't know. I just don't see the Senators being a team that makes it. Another team to put stocks into, the Buffalo Sabres.
If their team doesn't get arrested.
Evander Kane. Just why? I don't get why some people have it so hard to just not do stupid things and get arrested. And how can you be in an NHL player? I get it. You have too much money for your own good, but like, come on, man. Like, get a fucking grip, dude. You have it so well. Why are you just being a locker room cancer? Why are you being an idiot? Yeah, so Evander Kane's arrested. They signed Kyle Okposo. That's a big deal because I think it was like, 4 years?
Something like that.
It was like 4 years. And is Kyle Okposo anything with John Tavares? That is what I'm excited to see. Or does he play on a line with Jack Eichel, and Jack Eichel is as good as John Tavares? Last season, obviously, it's his freshman year, Jack Eichel, so I'm not going to give him too much shit or anything because he's still developing. Obviously, I get it. Kid's 18. Like, holy shit, man. You're playing against grown-ass fucking men. But he's not John Tavares yet. Obviously, he's not 24 or whatever. He's not, where he's going to be in 5 years. So, Kyle Okposo is going to be taking an L. Definitely going to have to be playing much better than this, unless he centers with Ryan O'Reilly. We'll see. But I would definitely put stock in the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, they're going to be good. They still need, a big, number one defenseman. But I'm sure somewhere along the lines they can trade for it. Maybe a Cam Fowler. Or, maybe if they just wait on... I don't know if they got a defenseman or not in the draft. Or no, they got Nylander. Yeah.
Which is alright.
But he's a forward. So, yeah, I mean, they're still searching for that defenseman. They got Kulikov, but, is he really, a number one defenseman? I don't think so.
And is Cam Fowler number one defenseman?
Yes. You should totally trade everyone for him. Just give us...
Jack Eichel, Ryan O'Reilly, just centers. Holy shit.
No, yeah, just... give us... I would have been cool with Tyler Ennis and a first for Fowler, to be honest.
Tyler Ennis is pretty cool. I wouldn't mind.
He gets injured a lot, and he's kind of small, but he can score. And I don't know, he's fast. I don't know enough about him to be about it, but I think I would take that. I would take that deal.
Honestly, the Sabres have had a really quick turnaround though from where they were 2 seasons ago. My God.
Yeah.
They're already turning into a pretty good team. So props to that GM management. At least they get it, unlike some fucking people in this league.
Tim Murray.
Whoa. Oh man.
I don't know. It's been just a nutty offseason. It's been a nutty few months, guys. Let's be real. But Yeah, I'm trying to think what else we hit. We're gonna have another podcast soon, so we'll have some other stuff to talk about, like some Austin Matthews talk, and some of the draft stuff a little bit, breaking into that. Going into the Ducks again though, Max Jones, I dig it. Sam Steele, I dig it. Both really good players. We had the pleasure of watching them on the 4th of July.
Yes,
both
we did.
looked really good. Sam Steele looked, he's a little small. He's a smaller guy, but he looked like he had that really good hockey IQ. And he moved the puck really well. Great, playmaker.
Very, very well. He had a couple plays that were very eye-opening for a freshman in the league. Although he's not ready to play at the NHL level, in my opinion. Max Jones being someone that has talked about it and would be down. And obviously, with the bottom 6 problem that the Ducks have at the moment, maybe gets a crack at the roster. Although, maybe too soon for him.
I don't think it happens. I think he goes back to
Yeah.
London. I think Sam Steele goes back to the Pats. And they kind of just sit on that
Keep
for a
developing.
while. No need to rush it.
No.
I'd rather sign a kind of like an experienced NHLer, someone hopefully better than Jared Bull, to come back. I wouldn't mind getting Puri back or Santorelli or even Horikoff.
Although, who was it that they said that they weren't signing? Was it Santorelli? I'm pretty sure they said that he will not be returning.
I didn't see,
No.
but I don't know. Could be.
Hey,
Santorelli didn't have a great season.
if they
last year.
need it, they need it, and they
Yeah.
have to fill a team somehow.
And there's some players too. We'll also talk about next podcast. Who the Ducks could pick up potentially. They're still on the market, or maybe even could trade for. But that's a whole other topic we got to break into. Kind of sucks because normally our podcasts are 3 hours long or however long we normally do them. But with the off season, as much as has happened and how long we've been off, it's still hard to just get into everything, especially because we're not going to talk about something in super depth that happened 3 months ago. But I don't know. I'm just excited for this season. I'm excited to see how the hockey works out. I'm excited for the World Cup, which is I think Team Young Guns for me. Mike, who do you got? Just hot
Yeah,
take.
Young Guns would be fun to watch for sure.
But who's winning it? I'm not asking who's
Team
fun to-
Canada.
Team Canada. I don't know, guys. I don't know if you heard about this kid named Connor McDavid, but he's on Team Young Guns, and they could rip. Team North America.
Yeah.
So, yeah, guys, I think that's gonna be it. We're like I said, shorter than normal, but we're back. We're back and better than ever.
No Calder.
Yeah, no
Connor
Calder for
McDavid.
McDavid. Oh my God, we'll get into that too, because I will. It's too late. We're
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock.
We're getting close to
This
3
kid
o'clock.
works too much.
Yeah.
14-hour days.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
nutty.
agree with it. It's time.
But it's too late for me to start breaking blood vessels in my face to yell about Connor not getting the Calder. So I'll get into that next episode as well. But guys, always drop a like, subscribe, comment if you disagree or agree with stuff. We love to argue or just talk about hockey. Like I said, we're still on YouTube. I know we've said for forever we're gonna work on.
Yeah,
some other
don't even give them the pleasure. This is for us.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, if they like watching, they can enjoy it. But
this is our time.
kind of sorry for the salt. I feel like this is a really salty episode. Well, I came into it in a pretty bad mood. I'm not gonna lie.
Like I said right off the
But-
bat, emotions, guys, emotions. That'll
Yeah.
probably be the title of this podcast. It'll just
Emotions.
be emotions.
I'm down. And I mean, it's more for us to listen, kind of think about, and go back over as we go halfway through the season. We can go watch it ourselves, which is fun to do for me. Like, I rewatched a lot of our podcasts pretty recently, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is where our thoughts were. They stayed kind of consistent. Looking at our Stanley Cup drawings, our playoff predictions at one third of the way.
Oh my
It's
God.
pretty crazy. I had the upset. I had the Sharks in 5. I had some really, really eerie stuff. I was like, oh shit. Obviously, I was kind of emotionally
I
fan
had
based.
Caps
but-
Ducks. I'm pretty positive I had Caps Ducks.
Yeah, you did.
Which would have been a
no, you had Canadians Ducks, I think.
Oh fuck.
I'm pretty sure you had Canadians Ducks. I can't remember exactly. It might have been Caps Ducks. Either way, boys, 39 minutes. It's been a great episode. We'll be back sooner than later, I would assume. If not, sorry. That's all I have to say.
You're not listening anyway.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
it's not for you. It's for us.
Fuck you guys. It's
I mean, eventually,
selfish people we are.
if it was worth it and we had a fan base, then fuck it. We'll do it for everyone. But it's for us. It's always fun talking hockey, especially at 3 o'clock at night.
Emotions.
Emotions are fucking high, boys. A lot of shit going on in life. Anyways, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great day, great night. Hope your life's doing great. If not, things will always get better. Just grind it out, get into the boards. You know what to do.
Work the corners.
Work those fucking corners, boys.
Shout out to the boys in Team Red. You know we
Oh.
killing. You know who you are.
Dope Noden. Dab on him. Oh yeah. Trevor
Whatever.
McCollum, the dirty dangler.
I didn't want to drop names, but Mike just did it anyway.
Sorry.
Shout out to the boys, Ferta boys.
T-boy.
Alright, guys. You're not gonna do it, but like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. We coming back. We back, bitches.
Don't even give him the pleasure.
Yeah. Alright, guys. This is Nick and Mike signing out. 2:54 a.m.
Knuckle bust.
Knuckle Bust, July 23rd.
Alrighty, guys.
See ya.
Oh, 420.
420 Blazer. See you guys next episode. We'll talk about Ducks. We'll talk about draft. We'll talk about NHL awards. We're going to get all into it. Hopefully some more stuff will happen too, so we'll have more to talk about. All right, guys. Have a great night. Take it sleazy. Enjoy yourselves. See ya.